Hello and welcome back to Star Citizen. My name is Evenlease, and today on 10 Minutes More or Less Ship Review, right behind me, the Consolidated Outlands Nomad. Let's go ahead and take a look. Alright, welcome back to another review. Today, the Consolidated Outlands Nomad. This ship here, the last time I took a look at it, it was 3.23. Not many stats have changed, but I do want to give a fresh look at all the starter ships for 2025. As well, I want to kind of show you where that new internal storage is going to be. Currently, it's bugged. With the new update, they did add it to this ship, but I can't actually access it because it's bugged. The initial implementation of the internal storage for the Nomad, not so hot right now. But within the next few patches, I'm sure before 0.1 hits the live server, it will be accessible. So we'll take a look where that will be located. Now, this ship, if you're to buy it on the Pledge Store, it is $80. Or if you buy it in-game, it is $1,512,000 aUEC. Definitely not a bad price point in-game, or even outside of the game, especially if you're new and looking for a starter ship that kind of does, pretty much everything, a little bit of everything. It's got its limitations, of course. It has quite a few paints, as you could see during the paint presentation, and it has a pretty good amount of stats on it, like starting off with the pilot's damage per second at 708. Now, it used to be about 828 damage per second, but it kind of came down just a little bit with the new power system and how that's working. And you do have 3 size 3 CF337 Panthers, 1 on the bottom on the front, and then 2 on the top on a turret. So pretty cool. There is no second seat for someone to control those guns. They are all within the pilot's control. So it's a pretty decent amount of damage per second at this tier, especially if you were to upgrade those guns. I'd say I'd put attritions on there, or, you can just play around with that and see what works best for you, but you can definitely up the damage per second on this ship. Now, it also has 8 size 2 Strike Force 2 missiles for the pilot, and then you have a tractor beam that you can control on your little cargo bay through the pilot's seat. Now, this ship is, pretty decent in almost all regards for a starter ship. This is the type of ship that you get if you want to stay under $100, but you want to have kind of like dip your feet into a little bit of every role. And let's talk about that for a second. You can do cargo. You can transport smaller vehicles, even up to the size of an ROC, so you can do like land mining, which is really cool. You can do, minor bounties. You don't want to get too crazy on that, because when I talk about the speed and all that kind of stuff, you'll kind of see why. But you can definitely do some minor bounties, and you can do package deliveries. You can do bunkers. I mean, this ship is just a great daily flyer if you want to have it for that. Now, speaking of the defensive capabilities, outside of your weapons, you do have 4,500 bubble shield, and that's due to the 3 size 1 shield generators. So you can definitely up that shield just a bit more if you were to get shields that had a little bit more HP. But as of a stock ship, it is 4,500. Now, you also have only 9,800 ship HP, which is kind of surprising, but then if you look at the breakdown, most of that ship HP is just in the body and the nose of the ship. There's a few small parts here and there that can get taken off, so you got to be careful with that. But otherwise, it's not terrible. 9,800 HP on like the body and the nose kind of divided isn't terrible at all, but still, I would prefer if you don't get hit while you're flying this thing. It's still not the biggest amount of health pool, especially since your shields aren't really there either. Now, the ship does have a top speed of 205 SCM with a 450 forward boost and a 230 backwards boost with a top nav speed of 1,100. And then you also have a 45, 45, 120 pitch yaw roll, which isn't the most maneuverable, not the fastest either when it comes to this ship. Surprisingly, it's probably one of the slower starter ships available for under $100, so you got to be very careful about that. Like I said, you don't have the greatest amount of firepower to, kind of defend yourself with, so then you got to rely on your speed, and you don't really have the greatest amount of speed either. So pick your battles and then move on from there. Now, you do have 32.8 SCU of hydrogen fuel and 1.3 SCU of quantum fuel. Surprisingly, quantum fuel is kind of low, but it's about average. So it does what you need it to do. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at a little bit of something on the outside of the ship, and then we'll hop into the interior of the ship. Starting off with the very rear of the ship, here is where you enter, right here on the left side of the ship. Now, if you go to the back, this is your little cargo bay, which you can open if you use the little button right here. Once you do that, you can see you have access to go ahead and load up 24 SCU of cargo, which is actually pretty good for a ship at this price point. 24 SCU, I mean, it's not a dedicated hauler. Obviously, if you spend $10 more, you can get a whole A and transport a lot more. But that ship is very limited in what it can do compared to something like this. You can also load up an ROC here, or like I had, the Pulse right there. I had that back here. It is pretty nice. Let's go ahead and hop into the interior really quick, and I will show you exactly where everything sits. Now, as you can see, it comes out of here really nice. Oh, and if I didn't mention is, the ship is hovering. It's using hovering pads. It's not your traditional landing gear. Now, right here at the front door, if you take a look to your right and your left, you do have 2 weapons lockers where you can place some weapons, which is really nice. Not really lockers. They're kind of free access, so make sure you don't bring any, younger folks on board that just get grabby hands because you're going to be missing some guns. And then if you move past that to your right, you can also control that cargo ramp back there just right here, just by pressing that hovering text. And then over here, you do have some of your components. So this thing does have its gold standard and components patch, which is always really nice. Right here is the bathroom right at the entrance. You can go ahead and sit down, enjoy a nice toilet break, and take care of business when you need to. Right behind that, you do have a suit locker, which obviously not currently, usable, but it is here for when that is accessible. Now, if you walk through this first door here, you do have a bed to your left with some plants all around, kind of sitting around. Surprisingly, none of this goes flying when you're out there flying around. And then over here, you do have your kitchen area, which is really nice. Got like an oven, a stovetop, a sink, and then you also have a seat that pops on out you can sit down on. So pretty nice. Hold F and go ahead and close to close that. And yeah, you got your protein powder and everything. Nice, nice. Right here is where that internal storage will be once it is actually working. So once it's actually working, you should be able to come right here and there'll be a button text that you'll be able to press right here and access your storage. So keep an eye out for that if you're flying this ship. It is coming to you soon. This right here is the cockpit. There's not much to it. It's just the cockpit. You can go ahead and do everything you need to do from right there. Now, if you go ahead and back up just a little bit and look straight on up, you do have more component access right above you. So pretty cool. It's kind of built in all around you. Always neat to kind of see that. And yeah, that's pretty much the internal of the Nomad here. So with that, we're going to go ahead and head into the pilot seat, do a really quick downie, and I'll give you my review score.
Missile locked. Shield hit. destroyed. Target has been destroyed.
Now, as you can see, this ship had no problem taking care of just a couple light bounties, nothing too crazy. You're not out there fighting, a whole army of arrows and gladiuses, because they'd probably mess you up. But this ship can definitely handle, your occasional PvE, or sometimes fending off against a player, which is pretty nice. Now, honestly, my score for this ship will be a 9 out of 10. Really, the only negative that I see with it as a starter is its very low speed and maneuverability. With that, you have to be very cautious about what you get into or what type of situation you need to escape. Let me know, what do you think of the Consolidated Outlands Nomad down in the comments below. Is this a ship that you have or plan on getting? Let me know what you think of it as well. Thank you guys for watching. I really hope you enjoyed, and I will see you guys in the next one.